beneath the surface of our everyday lives, inside the quiet currents of our veins. There is a story that stretches back millions of years, a story older than civilization, older than humanity, a story written in the very fluid that keeps us alive. Blood has always carried an aura of mystery. It sustains us. It connects us. It marks us. And yet, for thousands of years, no one knew that not all blood was the same. The discovery that humans are divided into different blood groups revealed something almost unsettling. Humanity is not biologically uniform, hidden in our bodies. There is silent. Verisaza. B. AB. AO. RH. Positive. Rh negative. Rh subtypes that shape how we survive, how we heal, even how we evolve. These variations are not random. They are chapters in a vast evolutionary story, shaped by ancient plagues, environmental pressures, migrations, and strange genetic twists that science is still trying to understand. And when you follow the trail of evidence, you begin to realize something profound. Blood groups are not just medical labels. They are clues. The mystery begins with a simple question. Why do blood groups exist at all? If every human needed blood to survive, why would nature divide us in such a dangerous way that receiving the wrong blood could kill instantly? For most of human history, this question was unthinkable. No one even knew blood groups existed. People believed all blood was the same, and early transfusions often ended in sudden, inexplicable death. The answer would only emerge in the early 1900s when Carl Landsteiner discovered the ABO system. But the real mystery goes deeper. The reasons behind these blood groups are not rooted in modern medicine, they are rooted in ancient survival. Imagined life tens of thousands of years ago, when early humans lived in harsh environments, full of parasites, predators, and infectious diseases. Blood groups did not emerge to complicate transplants. They evolved as silent shields in an endless war between humans and the microscopic world. Type O blood, for example, seems to have arisen first, perhaps long before modern humans existed, shared by our ancient ancestors as they spread across the world. O blood offers certain advantages. People with O blood are somewhat more resistant to severe malaria, but they also have weaknesses. O blood is linked to a higher risk of severe bleeding from injury or childbirth, something that could have been deadly in prehistoric times. Then came O blood, a mutation that changed the history of human immunity. This variation spread widely in colder regions, where different pathogens dominated. Type A individuals seem more resistant to certain forms of plague-like diseases, which repeatedly swept across ancient Europe and Asia. Meanwhile, Type B likely emerged in Central Asia, shaped by different environmental pressures, possibly linked to ancient bacterial infections or diets, over thousands of years, as groups migrated and intermingled. AB and O spread unevenly across continents, creating a mosaic of biological diversity. AB, the rarest, is the newest combination of A and B that emerged when populations who had been separated for millennia finally crossed paths. Even now, the global distribution of blood groups preserves traces of human history. O is dominant in South America, where ancient migrations carried it long before the rise of empires. B is common in parts of Asia and rare in the Americas, suggesting that early populations crossed continents before B became widespread. In Europe, A is abundant, reflecting a history of plagues that shaped survival. And AB remains uncommon everywhere, a reminder of how recently the world became fully connected. But the mystery deepens when you look beyond the ABO system, because ABO is only the beginning. There are over 40 recognized blood group systems, each with its own patterns and secrets. Some are extremely rare, nearly mythical. Others are so subtle that most people will go their entire lives without knowing they carry them. Yet each variation whispers a story, sometimes of ancient origins, sometimes of unlikely evolution. The Rh factor is one of the strangest. Most people are Rh positive, meaning they carry a specific protein on their red blood cells. But some individuals lack it entirely, making them Rh negative. This variation is not evenly distributed across the world. In some regions it is almost non-existent. In others, it is unexpectedly high. And here, the mystery becomes even more intriguing. The Basque people of northern Spain and southern France have the highest concentration of Rh-negative individuals, around 30%, far more than any other population on Earth. Why? Science doesn't fully know. Theories range from ancient genetic isolation to the survival of lineages that predate certain population waves. To some, it almost feels like an echo from a lost chapter of human history, preserved in blood. Rh incompatibility adds to the mystery. When an Rh-negative mother carries an Rh-positive fetus, her immune system may perceive the baby's blood as foreign and attack it. This strange biological conflict can be deadly if untreated. Why would nature allow such a dangerous situation to exist? One hypothesis suggests that Rh-negative blood may offer survival advantages under specific conditions, or may be linked to selective pressures we no longer experience today. Others propose that the Rh mutation is relatively recent in evolutionary terms and has not yet been fully balanced by natural selection. Whatever the truth, the Rh system remains one of the most puzzling aspects of human biology. And yet, Abo and Rh are not the end. There are blood types so uncommon that they seem like biological anomalies, appearing in only a handful of families worldwide. The Bombay blood group, for example, discovered in India in 1952, is so rare that most hospitals have no compatible blood stored anywhere. Individuals with Bombay blood are often considered universal donors within their category, but they can receive blood from only their own kind. The mutation responsible for this type disables the very foundation of the ABO system, creating a group so unusual that many people only discover they have it when a transfusion fails. Another rare type is the Lutheran system, linked to unique genetic mutations that can influence pregnancy, transfusion reactions, and immune responses in subtle but significant ways. The Diego blood group, common in some indigenous populations of the Americas and East Asians, tells a story of ancient migration, hinting at a deep link between continents long before recorded history. The Kill, Duffy, Kidd, M&S, and other systems are equally fascinating, each reflecting complex interactions between human evolution and environmental pressures. The Duffy blood group has an especially dramatic history. Individuals who lack a particular Duffy protein are resistant to one form of malaria in regions ravaged by malaria for thousands of years, such as parts of sub-Saharan Africa. Natural selection favored those who carried this mutation. Over time, large populations became Duffy negative, not by chance, but by necessity. Their very blood was shaped by the struggle for survival, a genetic imprint left by a relentless enemy. But this protection comes with trade-offs. Duffy-negative individuals are more susceptible to other conditions, revealing how evolution always balances advantages and risks. As you explore these blood group systems, the human story becomes richer and stranger. Blood is not simply a red liquid. It is a map of our past, a record of migrations, catastrophes, diseases, and adaptive pressures. It carries the memory of ancient pathogens that rose and fell long before humans learned to write. It carries the signature of genetic bottlenecks, the consequences of isolation, and the traces of lost populations whose only surviving legacy flows in our veins. But the mystery goes even deeper when you look at how these variations influence health. Modern research suggests that blood groups may affect not only transfusion compatibility, but also susceptibility to disease. Type O individuals may be less vulnerable to certain forms of malaria and stomach ulcers, but more prone to severe cholera and bleeding disorders. Type A individuals may have higher risks of certain cancers or cardiovascular diseases. Type B may show unique patterns in certain infections. AB, rare and genetically complex, is associated with distinct immune system behaviors. Even the Rh factor can influence some conditions in subtle ways that science does not fully understand. One might expect that by now, with all our scientific advancements, the mysteries of blood groups would be fully solved. But the opposite is true. The more researchers uncover, the more questions appear. For example, why do some pathogens seem to prefer specific blood groups? Why do certain groups dominate in isolated populations? Why are some variations extremely common in one region and nearly absent in another, despite thousands of years of migration? Why do rare types persist instead of disappearing through natural selection? One of the most intriguing puzzles involves the evolution of the ABO system itself. For years, scientists assumed that blood group O was simply the absence of A or B, But deeper genetic studies revealed something surprising. The O variation is not the default. It is a mutational mutation so old and widespread that it became the most common blood group on Earth. How and why this happened remains one of the great mysteries in human evolution. Another puzzle lies in how pathogens interact with blood groups. Many infectious agents from viruses, to bacteria's surface molecules on red blood cells, as docking points. The presence or absence of A or B antigens can dramatically change how these pathogens behave. This influence has persisted for centuries, shaping survival rates during epidemics, steering population genetics, and silently determining the fate of entire families during outbreaks. When we think about diseases throughout history, the Black Death, smallpox, influenza, pandemics, cholera, we rarely consider how blood groups may have shaped the outcome. Yet evidence suggests that certain blood types were more likely to survive specific diseases in certain regions, contributing to the uneven global distribution we see today. And then there is the question of the origin of AB blood. Because AB is not just rare, it is inusual. It exists only because both A and B alleles are expressed equally, a phenomenon known as This makes AB one of the most genetically distinctive blood groups, often less than 5% of most populations. Some anthropologists believe that AB blood emerged fairly recently in human history, perhaps only a few thousand years ago, coinciding with increased long-distance trade, migrations, and intermarriage between previously separated populations. If this theory is correct, AB blood is a biological marker of human connectivity, a genetic signal of cultures merging, exchanging ideas, traveling across continents, and reshaping the world. Even more mysterious are the ultra-rare phenotypes that appear unpredictably, often within isolated families. The Rh-null blood group, sometimes called golden blood, is considered the rarest in the world. Fewer than 50 people are known to have it. Their blood lacks all Rh antigens, something scientists once believed was impossible. Individuals with Rh-null blood often face serious health challenges. Yet their blood is so precious that it is stored under special conditions and tracked across continents. One donation from a person with Rh-null blood can save multiple lives worldwide because of its compatibility with many Rh variations. And yet, paradoxically, they can receive blood only from someone with the same extremely rare type. These rare blood types blur the line between biology and mystery. They remind us that evolution is not a simple process. It produces anomalies, extremes, and unexpected variations that persist for reasons we don't always understand. They also remind us that every human body contains secrets, some common, some rare, some unique, that tie us to a vast lineage stretching back through time. As science pushes forward, researchers are discovering that blood types may influence far more than we once believed. Studies reveal potential links between blood groups and gut microbiome composition, immune responses, inflammation patterns, even behavioral tendencies influenced by health outcomes. Some connections are speculative, others strongly supported, but all point toward the same truth. Blood types shape us in ways that go far beyond transfusion compatibility. Perhaps the most fascinating mystery is how much we still don't know. For example, there are questions about whether blood groups played a role in prehistoric population die-offs or survival during global catastrophes. There are hypotheses suggesting that certain blood types may offer protection against viruses we haven't discovered yet. There is speculation about whether extremely rare types represent ancient lineages that survived mass migrations, or newer mutations that emerged quietly in isolated communities. And because the human population is more mobile today than ever before, genetic mixing is slowly reshaping the global distribution of blood types at a pace faster than any time in history. Blood groups also raise philosophical questions about identity and diversity. On the surface, two individuals may appear similar, yet deep inside, at the molecular level, one small difference in their red blood cells could determine the fate of a medical emergency or reflect a 1,000-year-old migration story. These invisible variations remind us that humanity is both unified and diversified in ways that challenge our assumptions. When you think about your own blood type, BAB, O, RH, positive or negative, como no rare, you are not just learning a medical fact. You are unlocking a clue to your ancestral survival, a clue to the epidemics your ancestors faced, the climates they lived in, the migrations they undertook, the genetic exchanges that shaped your lineage. You are holding a fragment of a puzzle that stretches across continents and epochs. And yet, despite all we've learned, blood remains one of the greatest biological enigmas. It is both ancient and modern, fragile and powerful, personal and universal. Its variations are reminders of battles fought long before recorded history, of disasters survived, of paths taken and not taken, of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Blood types show us that evolution is not a straight line, but a complex, ongoing story full of twists, risks, and astonishing adaptations. Imagine a moment thousands of years from now. What will the distribution of blood types look like? Will rare types vanish or become more common? Will new types emerge as the human body continues to evolve? Will future scientists look back at our era as a turning point in how human biology adapted to global change? No one can say for sure. But we do know this. As long as humans exist, the story of blood will continue to unfold quietly, invisibly, inside each of us. When you realize this, the variations of human blood become more than scientific categories. They become symbols of resilience, survival, and mystery. Every drop within us carries echoes of ancient struggles, migrations, catastrophes, and triumphs. Every variation tells a story of adaptation, and every blood type, no matter how common or rare, is part of a vast, interconnected narrative that binds all humans together in ways more profound than we can fully imagine. In the end, the mystery of blood is not simply about what separates us. It is about what connects us. Beneath our differences, there is a deeper unity, a shared history written in the language of biology, a story that flows through our veins with every heartbeat. And as science continues to explore the unseen, we may discover that the greatest secrets of humanity have been inside us all along, carried quietly in the currents of our blood, waiting to be understood.